Hi, Arthur. Hey, Arthur, don't strain your eyes, will you?
All right. Good evening. Oh, Arthur doesn't have volume? Give him a second. He's connecting to audio.
I know, yeah, I don't know.
All right. Good evening. Calling to order the zoning subcommittee meeting for Monday, May 3rd, 2021. We'll all rise and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
To the flag, the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members of the zoning subcommittee. Councilor Genino? Here. Here. Councilor Guanasso is here.
He is present.
Councilor Sereno?
Here.
Here. Councilor Visconti?
Here.
Here. Councilor Zambuto? Absent. And Chairman Keefe?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. First item on the agenda is Council Order 21-101, the application of Nilson Reganati, 1200 Salem Street, Linfield, Mass., seeking permission from the Revere City Council to alter and extend a non-conforming structure by constructing a 26 by 26 two-story addition to enable the appellant to accommodate for garage space on the first floor and additional office space on the second floor for a graphic design business.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I believe Attorney Simeone is on, and he made a presentation to the public hearing last week. Last week there were not any opponents from what I recall, none on the record. I know that a few councilors, including Councilor Rotundo, have visited the site. But is there anything that has come, any more come to revelation, Attorney Simeone?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we're really happy to have a couple of more city councilmen make their way down. Even one gentleman was so fine enough to come on a Sunday. But it was great to see them come, and it was great to hear them have some interaction with Mr. Reganati so they could understand clearly what he intends to do there. And as you know, we're looking at two levels, about 600 plus square feet a level. Our goal is to consolidate his family business into one location. He's excited about coming to Revere. As a matter of fact, the last councilor that was there was Councilor Visconti, who got to see them move their equipment in, and the smiles on their face as they're going to renew their business opportunity as a family in the city of Revere. I've gone over the issues pretty specifically, especially the most interesting one, which is the car wrapping, and explained that car wrapping has nothing to do with auto repairs or auto spray painting and so forth. I sent you, all the members of the subcommittee, a presentation of exactly what my client does. You should have received that presentation, which goes in detail to what car wrapping is and large format printing and digital printing and so forth. And the only other thing I've filed with the committee since that time is the findings, which are filed in accordance with 1748-08C, and ask you to adopt those findings as part of your decision, whereas the committee's, the council's responsibility when issuing a special permit to make such findings. I answer any questions any member of the subcommittee would like to have.
Thank you, Attorney Simeone. I know that there's a few councilors that wish to speak, and also this would be contingent upon the site plan reviews, contingencies and conditions, and also Councilor Sereno, the ward councilor, has a couple conditions that he has, I believe, already communicated to you and myself, and we wanted to make sure that we went over those. So I'd like to open it up to Councilor Sereno first, and then we can go to some of the other members. Councilor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Simeoni, through you to Mr. Rigonetti, I am in support of this. I will not oppose it. However, I know we have spoken before, and I just want to protect the neighbors on Pemberton Street. I understand that this is on Squire Road, but where the garage will be going and the side of the business is Pemberton Street. And as I had said to you, I have had bad experiences with businesses on the corner of Squire Road and residential streets. So my number one priority is making sure the residents of Pemberton Street are protected. That being said, I look forward to welcoming Mr. Rigonetti and his business to our city. And with that, I just wanted to quickly go over, for the public's edification, the stipulations that I want to put forward in the special permit. So I have proposed some conditions, including the garage, which is used for auto wrapping. The garage shall only be utilized for auto wrapping. Now or in the future, this special permit shall not allow the property owners of 386 Squire Road or their lessees of the property to utilize the garage for any other vehicular uses, including but not limited to mechanic work, body spraying, and vehicle detailing. All auto wrapping operations at 386 Squire Road shall be conducted within the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday, and from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturdays. No auto wrapping operations shall be conducted on Sundays. No vehicles of customers or employees shall be parked on Pemberton Street, Marshall Street, or any adjacent residential streets. And all vehicles entering or exiting the premises at 386 Squire Road shall utilize Squire Road and not Pemberton Street, Marshall Street, or any adjacent residential streets. I think if we put these conditions on, the residents of Pemberton Street will be protected. Mr. Rigonetti will be able to operate his business, and I look forward to seeing the business that comes out from there. If Attorney Simeoni has any questions, or I guess we can have further discussion, but those are the conditions that I want to propose to the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Attorney Simeoni, I did want to mention on some of these conditions, and the hopes is that you and your client would find them more than reasonable, is understanding that the parking restrictions, obviously Mr. Rigonetti, he has to manage, it's going to be tough to manage consumers, but he can certainly manage his employees. Those are people that work for him directly, and making sure that his employees are following that, because if it starts with them, this goes on many retail properties where they have parking restrictions for employees. If the owner or the manager of the shop isn't doing that, then it will never work. So I would fully expect him to be able to monitor and manage the employees that are working for him and making sure they're parking in the appropriate places. It's going to be challenging, I'm sure, that if someone comes to pick up a bunch of signs, if they park 2 streets over, for him to be able to manage that. Although certainly you can try and prohibit it, and certainly you can put it in the conditions. I would imagine it's going to be very difficult to manage. And a few other councilors wish to speak. Councilor Novoselsky, and then Councilor Visconti, and then Councilor Genino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have actually 2 questions. I noticed in the site plan review that he's required to put in new sidewalks along the front of the building. Is that going to include a curb cut to get into the garage?
The entire front of that building is a curb cut. If you went by the facility or looked at the plans, you would see that there's no curb in front of the building except for a small piece of curb at the far end closest to Squire Road. So that would require a curb cut and an extended, if you will, open driveway rather than like two driveways. I doubt the DPW would give you 2 curb cuts for 2 entranceways. It'll probably be 1 wide open driveway into the parking that's available on the right-hand side of the front of the building, and then to the wrapping space on the left-hand side. So that'll all be concrete in accordance with the Revere City Oregon.
Right, so the concrete will go along the existing new garage.
That's correct. It'll go in front of it.
Up to the edge, yeah. The second thing is, on the second story, are they going to be doing a second story on top of the existing building also?
No, the building is 2 stories, so it's just connecting up.
Okay,
The building's in the GB district. The building across the way is also 2 stories, so it's kind of even with everybody that's there right now in the GB district.
okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm all done.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Visconti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, like I had the ability to visit the site. The site is very clean inside. The owners are looking forward to moving in. You could see it on their face. And I think my colleague covered the question that I had. This is the type of business that it's going to be one car at a time. Correct me if I'm wrong. Council.
This business, my client tells me, is mostly online, and there's very little foot traffic in the way of people coming in to pick up materials and receiving materials. Most of the materials are shipped out and so forth. What you might have is people delivering there, and we've had this discussion with Mr. Rignati about deliveries should be, at least the ones that he can control, should come from Squire Road to the site and back again, and not enter Pemberton Street.
Great. Okay. The car wrapping part of the business, it's going to be one car at a time. It's not going to be sort of like an auto body shop where there's cars pending or on the streets or anything like that. I know it was included in my colleague's restrictions, but that's not the type of business that it is anyway, correct?
No, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the member. The business of wrapping is we sent a little presentation package out, but it is a unique business where they actually use vinyl to cover the entire car with whatever display or color they want. It's a process that once you begin, unlike painting cars, you can stop and whatever, it's a process that once you start, you'd like to complete. So he has been doing it for a very long time. He averages approximately 7 to 10 cars a month. And the only concern he had with the laid down hours of wrapping was, and I was honest in my email to Councilor Serino, and I think he takes it that way, is that if there happens to be by chance that he starts a car on a Friday and he's finishing it up on a Saturday, that he may not be able to make the 3 p.m. or whatever. But we should know that the building is not open on a Saturday. There's no open operation on a Saturday, so the only person who would be there would be the one person, for the most part, handling the finish of the wrapping. But he now knows about the concern about Saturday afternoons, and he's done a pretty good job of satisfying all the people in Somerville. So I'm sure he's going to do an equally good job in satisfying the people here in Revere.
Thank you. Councilor Genino and then Councilor Gonasso. And also in attendance tonight is Councilor Zumbudo is here.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to speak in favor of this application, and of course with the, sorry, something going on? We good? All right. Sorry, it's weird being back in the chamber. I just want to speak in favor of this application. I had the pleasure of going down to the site and meeting with the owner and Attorney Simeone and walking around and learning a little bit more about the business. Some of you may know my background was in printing. I worked for a printing company for a few years before I started this new endeavor. And it's different technology, but similar. So basically, small print format. So things you get like business cards or screen printing for logos for shirts and hoodies and apparel and things like that, and embroidery, and also, the new project, which we're looking at that's before us this evening, is to wrap vehicles. So this is similar to, for example, if you see a contractor with a white pickup truck and they want to put the name of their business on it, or some sort of artwork for their company. So from what I understand, the vehicle will be dropped off in the morning and most of the time picked up by the end of the day. No people will be coming on the street. No people will be waiting. There's no repair. It's just, basically cleaning the paint and applying almost like a giant sticker, if you will. So I think that this will not impact the neighborhood from the neighbors that we spoke with and the attorney had spoke with didn't have any concerns about it, which is, of course, as a council, our biggest concern. So I think that it's a welcome business. They're an existing company. They have a great reputation in their industry. So I think it's great to see more commercial development happening in the city of Revere. And it's really nice to be on the zoning committee today and to be welcoming a commercial project. So with that, I'll hand it over to the chairman. And again, in favor with the recommendations of the ward councilor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. And Councilor Guanasso, Councilor Rotundo, then Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Certainly very familiar with the area, very familiar with the building. That building structure has been there for years. It's long overdue that the property's given a new life. And I think that you couldn't get a cleaner business going into this location. And more ordinarily, everything is done within the confines of the building structure. I think that Councilor Serino put valid conditions on this, and I think that also that I think that on the human side of it is, as the attorney stated, there are occasions possibly when this gentleman might have to work later than 3 o'clock, and I think forgiveness should be 3 o'clock on a Saturday should be given because he's in the building by himself. It isn't like he's making any noise on the outside, and if we just being sticklers on a particular time, and the guy only does supposedly 7 a month. I mean, how many times, nobody's going to be inconvenienced by this process for sure. And we certainly have businesses operating in our city 7 days a week, disturbing the neighborhood 7 days a week. This gentleman is not even entertaining working on a Sunday. And he's on a pretty much isolated spot. It isn't like he's going in the middle of a neighborhood, as a lot of businesses in my ward on both sides working 7 days a week. So I think this is a clean opportunity for the city of Revere to entertain welcoming a commercial enterprise and with very, very little infringement on the residents and the neighborhoods of our community. So I will be voting favorably for this proposal when it comes before the council of the whole. And I'll be voting favorably out of the subcommittee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you. I too have been to the site. I love it. It's state of the art. It's clean. It's crisp. This is going to bring revenue to the city of Revere. So obviously with the recommendations of the ward councilor, I support this fully. And I think that the quicker we can get it out of committee and vote on it, the quicker this man will have his business up and operational. Thank you.
Well spoken. Councilor Zambudo, then we're going to go back to Councilor Serino. Councilor? Mr. President.
Thank you. Trying to get organized at your desk here, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman. So I was at the site, and it's been beautifully remodeled. Some of us know this building is the old Chelsea Clutch building. Been there for many, many years. It's beautiful. The people that have bought this building and are bringing their business here have an impeccable reputation from Somerville. And Somerville's not an easy place to do business, as most of you might know. So if you can survive in Somerville, you can certainly survive very well in Revere. So I'm thrilled with this business coming here. I think they've already demonstrated they'll bend over backwards to be good neighbors. So I'm thrilled to have more economic development coming into our city. And it's just a testament that Revere is welcoming to small business. And we want to continue to do that. So I'm certainly 100% in support of this, and I hope everybody feels the same way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Councilor Serino.
Thank you, Mr. President. After hearing from Attorney Simeone tonight with regard to the Saturday hours, Attorney Simeone, may I ask what time would you say that he would be working? If I understand that it won't be every Saturday and it's occasionally, what time would he be working until on Saturday? Would it be 5 p.m. or 4 p.m.?
I think, Counselor, if I had to guess, because he's not next to me like your brothers are to you right now, I think he'd be more inclined to be with a 5 p.m. shut-off period. I think that's his normal work hours, and like I said, he doesn't work Saturdays. The only anybody who'll be in that building would probably be him doing paperwork and his lovely wife. And he told me no more than one person working on a car, which would be a layover car, a car that couldn't be done on the day or two before.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, through you, I would be amenable to amending the Saturday hours from 9 to 3 to say 9 to 5. But Madam, through you to the clerk, could we put a stipulation in that this could be revisited if residents, if issues arise, neighborhood issues arise or anything? I don't anticipate that, but just to give us the flexibility if.
No, the conditions would have to be enforced by the building inspector. If there's any issues with the special permit conditions, they need to be enforced by the building inspector, and they need to enforce what the city council decides.
So hours may be amended based upon, can we just add a statement? Oh, we cannot. We cannot.
So that we wouldn't be able to go back 3 months from now and say, oh, we got to go back to 3. Now, if they're in violation at 7 or 8 p.m., then there might be a different piece of business there where we would hold them accountable.
Okay. All right, then on that, Mr. Chairman, I would amend to say 9 to 5 p.m. on Saturday.
And I think that's a good compromise, and Attorney Simeone, I think you'd agree with that. If I can also state, we have a few businesses like this in the city already, and we hear nothing about them because they're doing a good job. They're not, like we mentioned, they're not repairing automobiles. They're putting wraps on cars for business purposes, and we don't hear a peep from them. There's one on Broadway in Council McKenna's ward, right across from, right at the end of Broadway. There's a few of them in the city. So this is it's not a very intrusive business to the city. So I think for the most part, with the conditions that the counselor has put in and the conditions from site plan review, I'd like to have those read into the record, and I think we can waive the reading of the filings. I'd like to vote on this, if everyone's good with that, Madam Clerk.
Sure. I'm sorry, did you want the site plan review conditions read into the record?
No, we can waive the reading of
Okay,
those.
so waive the reading on the site plan
Attorney
review
Simeone,
conditions.
you're in agreement with
Yeah,
these?
site plan committee recommendations are in the
Yep.
proposed findings and decision by the applicant, verbatim.
Yep, thank you.
So on that note, shall the zoning subcommittee grant the relief requested by the applicant for 386 Squire Road, subject to the findings and conditions of site plan review and the zoning subcommittee? Counselor Genino?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Sereno?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Zambuto?
Yes,
Yes. And Chairman Keefe?
Yes,
Yes, this application has received a favorable recommendation and will be forwarded to the full city council.
Very much.
thank
gentlemen.
you. Have a good
Next-
evening.
Next
That's
calendar
correct.
item is 21-102, 1540 North Shore Road Realty Trust, seeking permission from the Revere City Council to alter and extend a non-conforming structure and use by increasing the number of permitted residential units from 8 residential units to 14 residential units at 1540 North Shore Road.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I know Attorney Katojo, I believe, is representing this site.
That's correct.
Attorney Katojo, you made a nice presentation for the public hearing last week. Again, there
Thank
was
you.
very little resistance from the neighborhood. I don't believe we saw any, and it looks like the ward councilor seemed to be in support, but I know he had some comments he wanted to make tonight. So before I went to the subcommittee, if I can have Councilor Novoselsky speak on behalf of the project?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I know a lot was said at the last meeting, and some of the neighbors did not come on because they were still negotiating with some of the issues that were transpiring between the actually 3 properties. The one involved, and then their property and the property on Dahone Street as far as drainage is concerned. And we've been working with the applicants literally for the last 2 weeks to try and square everything around and make every unit owner at Dahone Street amenable to what's going on, agreeable to what's happening. And as of today, the trustees signed off on an agreement, and the applicant is willing to do everything that the former owner promised, plus items to make everything good for all involved. And everybody seems to be happy, and I have no problem with what went on, and I'm glad the negotiations happened. So with that, I plan on voting for it, and we'll move ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any councilors in the zoning subcommittee wish to speak? This project. Any councilors in the, Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just wondering, Ira, if you could answer this for me. Parking, is there enough parking for, oh, there's no parking. Okay, so where are these residents parking?
One of the agreements is that there will be no permits issued. There's no parking for the building. There wasn't, there was before, but things have changed, and we're still looking at a TOD scenario where we're giving them the variance of no parking and not allowing any permits to be issued to any tenants that moves in. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Madam Clerk?
Are you going to waive the reading of the findings and conditions from site plan review?
As long as they're agreeable from the attorney.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
Attorney Cotoggio? Great.
Yes, they are.
Thank you.
Shall the zoning subcommittee grant the relief requested for 1540 North Shore Road, subject to the findings and conditions of site plan review? Councilor Genino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Sereno?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambuto?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Keefe?
Yes.
Yes, this application has received a favorable recommendation and will be forwarded to the full city council this evening. Last item on the agenda is Council Order 21-103 on the application of Robert Ainello, 727 Revere Beach Parkway, seeking permission for the reconstruction and modification of the pre-existing non-conforming structure and use, which will be a two-story building utilized as two commercial units, with the first unit being used for electrical contracting companies or similar businesses with professional offices, including indoor parking and indoor storage of equipment and supplies, and the second unit being used for a self-storage use at 727 Revere Beach Parkway.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I know that, again, this was in last week's City Council packet, and there was a public hearing which had some attendance. For the most part, the attendees, especially some of the abutting neighbors, seemed to be, they weren't necessarily opposing. Their big concern, and Councilor McKenna, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was making sure that the communication between the landowner and the neighborhood was flawless and seamless and overwhelming. So we want to make sure that that's something that stays with the potential project. But I'd like to open it up to I know Attorney Green and also the owner of the site are here, if they have anything to bring to the table on that. And then I'd like to hear from Councilor McKenna and any other members of the zoning subcommittee. So, Attorney Green.
Thank you. Good evening, councilors. Last week, we presented our project to you. I know there were a couple of opponents that spoke. I think largely they seem to generally be in favor of the project. They were just looking largely for the owner to stick to his plans for the property, which he certainly plans to do, and keep any lines of communication open that would be necessary. So we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Madam Clerk, it also looks like Robert Ainello wishes to speak. Mr. Ainello? Mr. Ainello?
It's not letting you talk yet.
You can talk. We can hear you.
I have my daughter helping me.
Hey, we know where you're coming from. Don't worry. They're better than we are. Go ahead, Mr. Ainello.
Thank you, sir, for your time. I have been in constant communication with our abutters, and we seem to be on the same page. The project that we're already approved for This new project, the reason that we're coming for the modification is largely in part to where we moved my business, my primary business. That project will be a new development, so we need to vacate that premises by January 1st. So that was the mindset behind trying to modify the original self-storage project that we've already been approved for. So in order for us to remain in Revere with Inello Electric, which we've been there for 20 years, we have a 20-year track record, and we want to remain to do so, the modification is to move Inello Electric back and scale down the self-storage facility on the other side that we've already been approved for. This project is probably more in scale than what's been approved. It's about 10 feet lower than the original project. So I think you have the plans in front of you. And again, communication with our abutters seem to be very good. And we're trying to accommodate everybody with this new project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ainello. I know Council McKenna, this is in your ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bobby, I've asked if that you could remove that pile of dirt that's on Revere Beach Parkway. I don't know when you're going to start the project. I think you said January 1st. Oh, you got to be vacated by January 1st. But I don't know when you're going to start the project. But if you can remove that pile of dirt, it's been there for a long time. So and everybody seems to be happy with this. So that's all I have to say.
That's not a problem. That was left over from when they capped the incoming water from the contractor that did that work. I can be in touch with them as early as tomorrow and ask them to please go remove that little pile of dirt.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council Novoselsky. You're muted. Quarter of the year. Councilor, you're muted.
Here we go.
There you go.
I noticed that they were going to have inside parking for some vehicles. I would think that they have to, at one point, have to come in for a 148 license to do that.
Talking for the gas tanks?
No, the cars,
Right.
Whatever cars he's going to have parked inside of vehicles. Just to remind him, that's what you're going to have to do, I think.
Attorney Green, you might want to note that.
Yep, we'll have to get a flammables license if any cars are to be parked inside, so we will note that.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Guanasso.
Mr. President, certainly if there's a businessman in the community who has a great reputation, it's Bob Iannello. I see Iannello trucks all over the city doing work within our community. What that tells me is that our business people respect the work that he does, and he gives them an opportunity to and give them a fair shake at the price. He certainly serves the residential community also, but he happens to be, in the last few years, the most honorable person. When he comes up, he just tells you as nicely as he possibly can. He's been a gentleman with the neighborhood, and sometimes the neighborhood got upset with him on a few issues, and rightfully so. But he rectified it. He took care of the situation, and so I think he's downsizing the unit as he's stated, and I think that that's a plus for the neighborhood. So I think that, and also the nature of the businesses that are going to be there, a very clean business, and I think that this gentleman has a great reputation, and I look forward to his business prospering at that location, and I'm glad that he's back in Revere. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. And Council President Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to congratulate Bob Iannello for keeping his business in Revere, moving it back to his original location, and downsizing the project to make the neighbors happier. So I think this is a win-win for everybody, and I'd like to see all projects go finish this way. Now, there were some bumps in the road, and I think the neighbors are completely happy, which is quite a feat. So congratulations, and thank you for staying in Revere.
Thank Thank you, Council President. Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Clearly, Council President Zambudo had spoke eloquently about the developer and so forth, and I echo those comments. But I also like to speak to Joanne, Ward Councilor 1, Joanne McKenna's hard work, working with them, working with the community to try and make this work. It's always a hard thing when you're kind of dealing with neighbors, dealing with the business, and having all those little bumps in the road. And I got to tell you, Joanne, you did a great job at handling it. Not everybody's going to be happy, but at the end of the day, you know, I give you an applause.
Thank you, Councilor Rotundo. I really appreciate that.
We have a lot of positive vibes tonight, but I will say, I've seen this site come full circle in the last 5 years. And you know, the first few proposals were not accepted. And Mr. Ianello, you know, obviously as a good business person, came back with better proposals, and this is the best yet. So I think that we're all in agreement that this will be much better for the neighborhood, and everyone seemed to be very happy. As mentioned, we want to make sure that the communication between the neighborhood and the responsiveness is really all they care about, because, you know, there is behind you a residential area, although the front is Route 16. So we're happy to see your business stay in Revere, and I think that we'll all be voting favorably for this tonight. So great work by everybody. Madam Clerk, the conditions can be waived. Thank you.
Shall the zoning subcommittee grant the relief requested, subject to the findings and conditions of site plan review for 727 Revere Beach Parkway? Councilor Genino?
Yes.
Voting yes. Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe? I'm sorry, Councilor Sereno?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Keefe?
Yes.
Yes, this application will be forwarded to the full city council with a favorable recommendation.
With that, come to a close on our zoning subcommittee. We have appointments at 5:45. Motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, are you available?
Yes, Chairman.
Ready to start?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Appointment Subcommittee meeting of May 3rd, 2021. We have 4 applicants before us. Before I announce who they are, I'm going to announce the members of the subcommittee. Councilor Genino, Councilor McKenna, Councilor Powers, Councilor Visconti, and Councilor Zambuto. The first, Madam Clerk, is 21-104 J. Marchese and Son as a licensed drain layer. Is any member from the J. Marchese Construction Company available?
No, Chairman, there doesn't appear to be any appointees here present tonight.
Okay, so what we'll do, Madam Clerk and members of the subcommittee, we will hold these over if they're not in attendance. We did notify them again, didn't we, Madam Clerk?
Drain layers were notified via email on April 28th.
Well, okay, so that means that's the second meeting that they've decided not to attend. And that shows a derelict of responsibility and a very poor representation of their business organization. So the next meeting we're going to have is going to be on May 17th. And at that time, if they don't appear, I'm going to ask the committee of the whole that we would draw their names. And there's some names here that do a lot of business in our city. And for them to be disrespectful to the Revere City Council, I have an issue with that. And as chair, I'm going to ask the membership of this subcommittee to go on record as reflecting the same thing, and we offer it out to the committee of the whole on May 17th. So I'll call just for roll call preferences. J. Marchese, no members present. Raphael Construction, any members in the audience? None. Tufts Construction, no members in the audience? None. And Arm Construction, no members in the audience? None. So I know it's at the will of the subcommittee to make a referral to the committee of the whole, but that's going to be my wish come May 17th. So, and in fact, I think, Madam Clerk, that a memo should be sent to Don Caramello, who forwarded up these applications from the mayor's office. He forwarded these applications to the mayor, and the mayor forwarded them to us, that they be notified by him of the seriousness of them appearing. You know, they have to show good faith to our community, and not being here is not a good reflection of their responsibilities. So that's what we're going to do. I will close this meeting, and we'll hold it on May 17th. If they don't appear, then I'm going to put in motion an order to have them removed. Thank you. And this concludes the appointment subcommittee for the meeting of May 3rd, 2021. And I'm very sorry for those viewing in, didn't have the opportunity to at least see who these individuals are. So thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Chair.